What is happening, everybody? Welcome to the video guide for Heihachi Mishima. The big man is back, and he's far more brutal than he ever was. He doesn't also get much more straightforward than this either. This man doesn't do lows or evade or run away or anything. He just hurts you. So if you know how to play Heihachi, you're going to be surprised with all the cool new stuff that he has. If you don't, it's actually a pretty straightforward approach. You got moves that are really good, and you use those, but you got to take some risks. Everything this man does is mid, and a lot of it is unsafe, so you kind of have to play it pretty smart. Overall, Mishima's a pretty advanced level gameplay to do well, but you can pick up basics pretty quickly and start building from there. Keep it simple, don't get yourself in trouble, and then as you get better at Tekken overall, you can really start to open up with what Mishima's can do. And this man is no different. So let's get started. First off, I always like to start with punishers. They're some of your fastest, strongest moves. They're something you really need to keep in your back pocket for when your opponent gives you those opportunities, especially when it's a character that's as good as punishing as Heihachi is. These are probably the best set in the game at this point. It's kind of ridiculous. First off, at 10 frames, 1-2-2 is nice and normal. That's a decent amount of damage. But now you can hold down to go into the new win God stance. So you take your +4 frame advantage and go into a stance with it. That's pretty good. 25 damage in a possible stance mix up, low or whatever. Pretty decent. However, 1-1-2, still probably better because it's confirmable. You can just do the 1-1 and then press 2 when you see it landed. It's more damage, you get a knockdown, wall splat and everything. So hit confirmable 10 frame wall splat is amazing. Very good move. 11 frames exists. 2-2 does exist. It forces crouch even on block. I don't know if that's worth it or not though. 23 damage, I don't know. It exists, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. 1-1-2 is still just superior. 12 frames, now we're getting into some fun stuff. You have 1+2, which is a unique mid knockdown. And when you have Warrior Instinct activated, we'll cover more of that later, you get a free follow-up. You get like one of those for free, so it does even more damage. Otherwise, if you're not worried about a high, forward 1+2, Chrome Dome. You can see the meter down there in blue, it says +14. That means anything that's 14, guaranteed, just like that. So 36 damage into a heat engager at a 12 frame punish is really good. You don't have to do heat engager. You can do lots of things just like that and get a wall splat or whatever. There'll be a mini combo section where we talk about all the options you have at 14, but needless to say, this is a 12 frame punisher. It gets you 14 and free follow-ups, but it's a high. So if you're worried about them like recovering in a low state, you do have this to just hit a mid as a backup. Otherwise, Chrome Dome is amazing. 13 frames, down forward 2-1, doesn't seem that remarkable. It's comparable damage to the rest. But if you're again in Warrior Instinct mode, this becomes a 13 frame launcher like it was in Tekken 5. Classic twin pistons are back. So keep that in mind most for that situation. You don't want to use it otherwise. Otherwise, down forward 4-2, this is really good. 33 damage for that knockdown. I mean, this is still better. But if you don't want to like get bothered with that, and you're not good at quarter circles with the follow-ups or whatever, this is good to keep in your pocket for a 13 frame. So 33 damage isn't bad, as well as this. This is down forward 1-2, but it's a little bit different this time. Down forward 1-2 is still a natural combo. You see 30 damage, but it doesn't knock down anymore. If I hold the button in, he charges it up, but it doesn't combo. It takes too long. If you let it go at just the right moment, it does knock down and it does 3 extra damage. It also becomes safe on block. You can see it charging up. There's this white flash. As soon as you see that white flash, you let it go. It's not, you're holding in for maybe 10 or 20 frames. It's very short, right? Because if you hold it any longer, it's not a combo anymore. So you have a very short window that makes it a natural combo and gets you the 3 bonus damage. This is an indispensable thing to learn as Heihachi. This is so good now. Instead of your classic down forward 1-2 that used to look like that, you have this, which is still good. You have the charge up version. It's better. And if you hold it too long, it becomes plus. This is really good. Safe, and if you get it blocked. Anyway, indispensable tool. Maybe not the best 13 frame punisher, right? You could still do this and get more damage. But it's a good tool to have. So I'd work on learning it now. And just have this in your pocket. If you know how to play Heihachi, down forward 1-2 is what you're using at 13 frames anyway. Now you're going to just learn that. And it's really cool. These blue sparks are always fun when you hit that at just the right moment. Anyway, 14 frames now. We can do a bunch of other things. Back 1-4 is there for a basic string. Again, same amount of damage in the 30s. This is nothing special for the big man. However, now we got back 3-3. This is natural. 39 damage. Look at that knockdown state. You technically only get a couple of things for free like that. Down back 3, I don't think they can avoid that. But what I would go for is a forward 4. If they do anything but roll sideways, that hits them. You can look and see that she's set to just stand up. Just straight stand up, not do anything else. She's getting hit by that, which makes it a total of 55 damage. If you can't tech roll on the ground, so you're stuck on the ground. If she rolls sideways from there, it'll be okay. But if you do anything else, bop, another damage right on top. So 55 damage, unless they know how to do it. Otherwise, you could do this. I think that'll probably hit them low. But still, that's a great, even if you miss it, right? Even the 39 is still fine. You can live with that. And the potential to get more with one of these is really good. But at 14, it's a critical Mishima skill to learn how to punish with Electric Wind God Fists. Not something I can do. I haven't played Mishimas like this in forever. But being able to hit Electric Wind God Fists in 14 frames is pretty important. Like that. You get bonus damage. You get the good recovery. It's +3 and all, or +5 and all of that. But if you can, I mean, that's why a lot of players don't play Mishimas. It's really hard to do that, just frame perfect input and not be able to buffer. You can't buffer that during block stun. So you have to wait till the instant your character is stopped and then get that exactly right. It's really, really hard to do. So if you don't have that to launch, you don't really have a backup play. You don't have a generic down forward 2 or hop kick or anything like that. At 15 frames, you have this. Down forward 3, 1 + 2, 1. And there's a quarter circle 1. Gets you some bonus damage. That's 49. You could do, like, June doesn't have a 15 frame launcher either. She has to stick with that to punish Rage Arts, for example. But even if you can't do Electric Wind God Fist at 14, you should be getting them out at 15 more or less, right? So that covers a lot of your big launch punishable stuff. But if it is exactly 14 or 15, you got to learn how to do this. So if you want to just hold that for later, you're not going to be able to get huge launch punish damages, Heihachi, because what, 442, that's way too long. That's 19. There's nothing that's going to be minus 19. So you don't have a good launcher for launch punishing if you can't do Electric Wind God Fist reliably. So got to keep that in mind. You're going to have to learn it eventually. But for now, just live and die by having, you know, your 14s and doing nasty damage with those and your 10 that wall splats, etc., etc. Crouching while standing 4-4 is your typical 11. You now press down and take your +6 frames into Fujin stance, which is very nice. 29 damage plus stance mix up is really good. While standing 13, you get while standing 1. And you get that same quarter circle 2. Lots of options. There's several things you can follow up with. Quarter circle 2 is generally the best. I just like the rhythm. When I learn how to do this correctly, you can kind of hear it in my buttons. Bop, bop, bop. You know, one hit, circle, second hit. Bop, bop. So once you feel that rhythm, I find it really easy to do that. It's usually the most damage. And for things like this, if you learn how to do that, it's a heat engager when they're still on their feet. So I think that's preferable for the most part. That's 13 frames. That's a lot of damage for 13 frames. 15, he has a conventional launcher, which is full crouch down forward 2. Not something he usually has ever had before, but it's there now. So full crouch down forward 2, generic, regular 15 frame while standing launcher. They gave him this last time, not a launcher anymore. It's 18 on startup, but it is safe. This is kind of cool now that this is safe on block for whatever that's worth, but he's got a normal launcher now. So all in all, punishment is off the charts, especially if you can punish 14s with Electric Wind God Fist. If you can't, stick to other things, get your 50-ish damage and move on until you learn how to do that. Again, there's going to be some advanced level gameplay when it comes to being good at Mishimas, and you'll get there eventually. But for starters, pick and choose, right? Stick your 1-1-2, use that well, use, say, your down forward 4-2 at 13, and use this thing for 15, and you're good, right? That's all you need for starters. Then you'll get to the rest of it in, 10, 20 years maybe. Next up, let's take a look at stances. A lot of things that make characters unique. Heihachi was never a stance character, even though most of them are now. Heihachi fits right in. So what he used to have was the Raijin stance like this. It was like a big stomp forward. It only had a few options. So that's still kind of there, but now there's a Fujin stance, Wind God. It's the move list is called God Kamae. And in my head, I started calling them Fujin and Raijin. Because this used to be called Raijin stance, Thunder God. And now that this one is called Wind God, I assume they were going to call it Fujin. But anyway, this is Wind God. So it does a lot of things, and you can get to it a lot of ways. This is a whole brand new set of extensions for Heihachi. The moves that you can do into it, like 1, 2, 2, we talked about that in your punish section. You just hold down, and there you go, a stance mix-up. On block, you're stuck. It says -9, but it's way worse than that, because you cannot block in this stance. You can't cancel it, you can't block. The only thing you could do is try to power crush your way out of trouble. So these are really tough. But this one you can see, oh, I got the hit, then hold down. Like, oh, it's blocked, don't do anything. You can confirm that pretty easily. Most of these let you do that. Some of the differences, 1 back 2. Does not. That's not a natural combo, so it's kind of hard to tell if you got that or not. And we go into stance, kind of tough. That one only says -2, which is better, but still, you are going to get messed up if they block this and try to counterattack you right there. You do not have good options to defend yourself. Right? Like if they want to go for a -2, your fastest option is 12. So that means it's going to lose straight up to like 13 or faster. So if you think they're going to try to interrupt you with a 13 frame, you have to power crush. And that's not the best thing to be doing all day. Anyway, these are all kind of like that. They're a little difficult to use. 3-2, you can tell, okay, that got the hit. Let me go into stance by holding down. Simple. Forward 2 is the same. If you see it hit, holding down for your stance, go for a mix-up. When you go into stance, you've got +8, 9, whatever. You can do whatever you want to. But on block, it's pretty rough. You do not have a way to get yourself out of jail there, so be careful. That especially sucks with these next two, forward 3 and forward 4. There's a lot to talk about here. You could do a whole video on just using forward 3 into Fujin. But one of the things that's cool is you can do that on hit. Forward 3 on hit guarantees you that. Or that for a wall splat, for example. The problem is you have to commit. You have to be holding down right away and do 1 right away. If you wait, if you do this and then stance, and then do 1, you're not going to work. Like if you see it connect, if you see the knee connect and then stance, and then do 1, doesn't work. So if you want to get that link, you got to commit. And if you get that blocked, like you have no way to tell, oh, this hit. If this gets blocked and you go into, ooh, it's trouble. So you got to learn how to really use these correctly. Forward 4 is similar, but at least forward 4 is going to be plus on block into that stance, and you could probably still go for your 12 frame, right? That might beat out what they're going to do. Still pretty tough though. It's always a general rule for stance transitions and attacking in general. If you got the hit, go for it. If you got blocked, you should probably back off. It's even harder now because he doesn't have a good way out of trouble. There is a power crush, but that's kind of it. Still very, very risky. So what you can do with this stance, it is good. It's worth going for in those situations, especially when you can predict it. Like when you get that Punisher, great. So your choices are 1-1 as we saw. This is a high heat engager. Safe on block because it's a high. 1-2 is the old down forward 1-2, and it's -13 just like you'd expect. Natural combo, wall splats, etc. So they just kind of move that into here because as we talked about, the new down forward 1 is very cool. 2 is just Wind God Fist. It has the big red flourish, but this is Wind God Fist. It's mid hitting and it's 10. It's the classic Wind God Fist. Hits mid and it's -10, but it does launch. Right? It's a tornado launcher, so it's still really good. I mean, it's 15 on startup out of stance, -10 on block, whatever. It's a launcher. Good stuff. You could use this a lot and just go for these. And if the opponent, like, a lot of people don't even punish Wind God Fist correctly anyway. You might as well go for this, especially if they have to hesitate because they see the crazy flash. They think, oh my God, what was that? Without realizing it's -10. So once they figure that out, you maybe want to hold back. But anyway, you got plenty of choices. 1+2, power crush, homing, mid. So this is kind of how you back it up. If you did, you know, this and they blocked it, for example, you could do this and try to power crush through their counterattack. That's one of your best bailout options, but -13 because it's power crush mid, so you're going to take some risk there. You got to be careful. You got to be smart with this. Next up is 3-4, the Hell Axle kicks. These are better than they've ever been. They're +4 on block. And they're a launcher. they cause the aerial tailspin or whatever it is. So this is a launcher now. So a mid, low crushing, +4 on block, launch on hit. Pretty good. You got to like that. So you can do that out of your stance now. Same properties otherwise as is the normal one, just out of stance. And then down 4, or just plain 4 in stance. Gets you the down 4, get a stomp. Hits low versus a standing opponent. They don't have to be on the ground for this. Hits them in the ankles. They can block it like anything else. Not the best low, but it's a low to keep them honest. They don't want to get hit by this all day. 20 damage is pretty decent for a low like that. So it ties the whole room together. You got highs that are good. You got a mid launcher. You got a low that's annoying. And you have a throw. You have Stonehead throw, which is pretty cool. Does very little damage and leaves them standing. Versus male characters, I don't think you can do the fancy version of it where you headbutt back and forth. But if you're in heat mode, when you do this, the throw goes automatically into Thunder God stance, which is pretty nice. But that's a heat mode only thing. So either way, you still have a good throw. Both, doesn't matter which throw buttons you do, you get the same version of it. It's a minimal damage, but it's good frame advantage. So having a throw out of stance is pretty cool. Last thing you can do is press down forward to go into the conventional crouch dash. Okay, I didn't know this till now, but when you go into crouch dash, you get perfect electric out of that. Or you get electric, not just the regular one. You can see normal Wind God Fist don't have too much flare, but electrics do. And if you do stance, even if look how long I can hold it, I still get electric Wind God Fist out of that. That's weird. See, it's +5. I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's super awesome then. This might be cool if they're going to try to interrupt you on jab. You can just go and cancel into crouch dash. You can hold that crouch dash and then do that and still get it, because you can't do that and still get electrics, right? That's not how that works. So here you can. That's an interesting way. I didn't think about that. You could actually use this to maybe beat some jabs and then counterattack with that, or everything else, right? You still get Hell Sweep and all that. Very interesting. Being able to crouch dash out of this has actually become really, really reliable, in my opinion. That's a good thing to have. So that kind of rounds that all out. The last thing to remember is during heat mode, this parries. That like high hand stance, it parries highs and mids. If you remember the old one where he kind of catch your foot and like kick you back, they put that here. So this parry effect is basically his old parry, the one where he used to take damage. That's now Wind God during heat. So, a lot of ways to get into that. Several different ways to access it. Some good, some easy to hit confirm, some a little risky. But these little risks, you gotta have a game plan in mind. What do I do if it's blocked? What do I do if I get this hit, etc., etc.? So smarter play and you'll be okay. The toolkit that's in here is actually really good. You use them correctly, you'll be just fine. It's going to be annoying for people. It's not quite as frenetic as Reina, but it's simpler. It's just similar to what she does now. Just being able to do like her down forward 1 into spinny stuff and forward 2 into spin and all that. The different options and hell, it's very similar to what she's doing. Just a little bit more straightforward in its structure. So that's Wind God Kamae. Let's look at Thunder God Kamae, which is the old version of it, forward 3+2. Stays in there forever. He can hold that all day. And you can just press down back to cancel it or whatever. I think that timing is like real. He has to do that to recover. So I'm not quite sure there if you can get hit. Anyway, very simple to get into this. Down 1, 2, hold forward. And sidestep 2, hold forward. Block or hit. The cool thing about this is down 1, 2 is a natural combo and safe on block. So you can see this laying in the hit all day. There you go. Same with sidestep 2. You can see that hit and confirm it. You just got to be watch. There's the hit. There's my stance. Just pay attention for it. So those are both really good. Look at the range on down 1. This punch has some stupid range. There you go. All that from downtown. Confirmable into stance. Whew, that's really good. The other way into this stance we talked about is the heat version of this throw. Right, that goes into it too. That's it. It's the only way to get into this stance. So it's a lot more difficult to access in general. It does not have parry on startup or anything, but the stuff that's in here is pretty nasty. First off is the Thunder God Fist by just pressing 1. Right? You remember how when you're in Wind God, you get Wind God Fist by just pressing 2? Well, when you're in Thunder God, you get Thunder God Fist by pressing 1. This is actually safer than the normal version of it. This is only -11. Instead of like 14. Still not a great move though. It doesn't have combo potential anymore. It's got some damage for a particular hit here and there, but it's not a great move like it kind of used to be. They sort of threw that one out, maybe just because of the difficulty. I don't know. 2, though. If you remember the old Raijin stance where you take the stomp and he had that swipe and there's like a charged up version that was unblockable, that's kind of here now. So normal hit 2 is a launcher, crumple stun and all that. But on block, see the crack effect? This is a guard crush. That plus 10 frames is real. That's guaranteed. If they block that, Heihachi gets to hit him 10 frames for free. So that's a wall. Like, look how nasty this stuff is getting at the wall. All that just for blocking. So it scales like crazy, but still they take damage just for blocking. So it kind of makes like a pseudo unblockable, right? It's all in one. The normal hit is a launcher, and the block version of it still gets you in trouble. It's not a full unblockable launcher, but it's halfway there. So Thunder God 2, really good. And it's homing. And it's homing, because why not? That's awesome. Thunder God 3 is the same as your normal down 3. And in heat mode, you get the 2 follow-up. That's a grip of damage. Bang, bang for 50 damage. This is safe on block. This is -7. That's really good. So take some time. It's not a fast move, but you know, if you're just going for stuff, that's a good option. That kind of just comes out bang, bang, and I'm not really thinking about it, right? Like, technically this -5, if they get blocked and you go for this, they can interrupt you, but Heihachi's job is to just beat you as hard as he can without you thinking straight, right? So if you're going for this stuff and they don't react cleanly, just party harder. But you do got to back off if your opponent learns how to check you. It's just it's a game of cat and mouse. The better you are at being smart, the better this stuff works. Thunder God 4 is the Hell Sweep, like the full Hell Sweep suite. 1, 2, 3 lows into the Thunder God Fist, or into the new one, that. So you get the full Hell Sweep series. All 3 lows will counter hit launch. The first one will counter hit launch on itself, right? Just like all Hell Sweeps do. So you get the Hell Sweep and Thunder God Fist out of this stance, and you get Wind God Fist out of the other stance. So these kind of just like split your crouch dash stuff into more conventional stances and change them up a little bit. So kind of just an expansion of the character, different ways to use his signature moves. I think it's kind of neat overall. They're pretty simple once you really get down to it. There's only so many applications of Thunder God stance, but when you're in there, you can kind of just do some nasty stuff. You're just not invincible, right? You're never invincible, so you got to be smart. The last stance is the crouch dash, called Wind God Step, but no one's going to call it that. It's going to call it crouch dash or wavoo wavoo. Wave dash is the idea of doing consecutive crouch dashes, and when you can do this super fast, like top Japanese players, it just looks like wavoo, 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 wavoo going across the screen. So we kind of just call it that. You'll hear me call this wavoo, wavoo once in a while. One crouch dash is all you need. You can do crouch dash moves out of it, but several of them is a good way. Like once you're good at this fast, you can really like mix up opponents pretty well with it. So with that, the Wind God Step crouch dash, forward, neutral, down, down, forward. I mean, let's show it to you in the move list, just right, because we're here. Crouching, crouching, Wind God Step, that. Forward, neutral, down, down, forward, just like an uppercut in Street Fighter. From crouch dash, you have Thunder God Fist with 1, and you have Wind God Fist with 2. These both have perfect inputs now in this game. If you time exactly right, again, it describes it in the move list fairly well. There's crouch dash 1, and there's crouch dash 1 where it says down, forward, +1 simultaneously. Like, well, yeah, that's what this means. But what that actually means is it has to be on the same frame. If you are a frame off, you press that diagonal and that button at the same frame, and you'll get the electric version of it. Heihachi now also has, you see in the notes there, that one skips the down. It's just forward, down, forward. That's how he used to have to do the Thunder God Fist. And this, with 2 button, is how Kazuya does perfect electric 1 frame faster. Heihachi can do that now too. So this is normal version. This is electric version, which is going to have better properties. And then you can do the perfect version, which will be about the same 1 frame faster. This is the normal version. Whoops. Normal version of Wind God Fist, -10 on block. This is the electric version, +5 on block. And if you can do it that special way, it's 1 frame faster. So that's going to take some practice. That's an indispensable Mishima skill, but you're going to need it. So 1 and 2 are perfect inputs. 3 is not. Crouch dash 3 is this big kick from downtown. punch them a mile away out in the open, but at the wall, it does that like crumple crush thingy with a huge advantage. So when they block this at the wall, they get stunned over. It's pretty cool. But if you hold down during this whole crouch dash thing, like after you press the 3, you go low. Boom. So that's pretty good. This is a nice like Oki tool. I like having that to just come flying at him low. I don't know, it's fun. It's definitely show-offy. It's a big ostentatious move. I think they're kind of cool. So 3 versus 3 down, there's a mid and a low out of your crouch dash. And then crouch dash 4 is the hell sweep. You can do 3 of these. 1, 2, and then 3. She's blocking and it's going to stagger. Like if I set her to block the first one, it's going to stagger me right away, so you can't keep doing it. But you notice that's minus 23. Damn. Second one's 10. The second one is only minus 10, and that's the one that launches you. If you get hit by that second one, you get launched, as long as Heihachi's ready to do it. So that's a nasty move all around, but there is a decision in there. They kind of have to duck, right? You can't just let him get away with that. You have to duck, so that opens up the idea of being able to do the crouch dash into 1, into mids. So there's definitely a game to be done there. All 3 of them give you this option. You have hell sweep into 1, hell sweep into 3, which is high and plus a ton on block, or hell sweep into while standing 4-4. Just while standing 4-4. You don't get your whole while standing arsenal. You can't just do that and then do while standing 1. Doesn't work. You let go of the down forward part, the crouch dash, you know, where you're holding down. You let go after that, and it becomes while standing 4-4. So all 3 hits of the hell sweep can be followed by all of those extensions. Honestly, the best one, I think, is single hell sweep and single while standing. Just like that. Safe on block. If you got the counter hit, right, you can get the combo from it. You just confirm that they got tripped up by it. That's kind of all you need. That covers all your bases. There's very little they can do about that. If they block the hell sweep first, it's good night. But otherwise, they get hit and... right? If they block low, they're going to get hit by that too. You could go for, you know, that, but that's going to get you launched if they decide to make the right block. So it's one of those things where they have to duck, but sometimes they might not duck. They got to make a read. So a little risky, but your choices are there. You have a high if they're not going to do anything. You have a mid if they're going to duck, etc., etc. So hell sweep is very, very important just for the potential of that mix-up. It's almost considered like the only low that he has. There's this that's really slow and really risky. This is new, not great on hit. Like there's not a ton of lows in this character. He hits you mid and he hits you hard. So the lows that he has are invaluable. This one is got a lot of like theory crafting behind it, but it's indispensable. So those are his stances. The new Wind God, a variation of the old Thunder God, and Wavu Wavu. You gotta kind of learn all those. They're all really good. They expand the character a lot, especially wave dashing. But again, these are kind of advanced skills. If you want to just stick to basic stuff, you can. You don't need them right away, but you're going to want to learn them as much as you can. You'll see stuff just explode when you really use techniques to their fullest. Next up, let's take a look at Heat Mode. This is a big one for this character. They definitely thought it out a little bit more than the average character gets. First off, you get the perfect inputs on your Thunder and Wind God Fist. You don't have to worry about the timing. Once you're in heat, they're all perfect. That's nice bonus. Kazuya has it, Jin has it. I'm not sure if Reina has it, probably. But Mishima seem like they get free electrics when they're in heat mode, which is crazy. Next up is the addition of a couple new extensions to moves. You get down back 1+2, which is this thing. And on block is even 0. It's a special mid, as it says. It means they can block it anywhere, standing low, whatever. But it is Power Crush. Wall splats, knocks down everything, and it's 0 on block, which is kind of cool. So you have that, but you also have down 3-2, which is just a built-in string version of it. That immediately becomes the go-to for certain knockdowns like this. Now that you can do that, that's a gigantic amount of damage. So the fact that down 3 is safe on block anyway, and you can do that, still be safe, tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Just out in the open. Bang. 45 damage, and that's safe. So that's a huge addition. Next up is up forward 4-1. When you're in heat mode, you get this 1 extension, which is plus on block when they land. Also really good. Huge amount of damage when it hits. You get Shadow Step. Back neutral 3+4. More of just a gimmick. It takes up your whole meter. It's just that run away and he laughs at you. It's kind of just a fun gimmick, but not really good for anything. And in Heat mode, you get the throw from Wind God stance. Automatically transitions into Thunder God stance, which is kind of cool. Does the same minimal damage, but now you get a big advantage into the Thunder God. It's very cool. You can do some dangerous stuff in Thunder God. The fact that you got to sit and take like a launcher versus Hell Sweep mix-up or whatever off of that throw, because it's untechable when you're in Heat, very good. So they can't break that throw, and then they have to deal with the Thunder God mix-up after that. That's really good. And once you're in Heat, Wind God stance parries. It's kind of slow. He kind of already has to be set up in it for it to parry. Like, his hand already has to be up. He doesn't like parry right away. But he does that. That was his old parry where he would take damage first. And you can see this time it's a little bit different. And in fact, it regenerates his health instead. So that used to cause damage to Heihachi first and then counterattack. Now it regenerates his health. So Wind God stance has a parry, but it's very slow. It's not for like reacting and then parrying stuff like this one is. It's for situations where like you go into stance on block. If you did, you know, forward 3 or whatever and it went into stance on block, that'll parry. That'll try to parry their counterattack, right? Because even if you go for something, they can generally interrupt you on block. So when they try to do that, it might get parried. That's about it. It's hard to control that, but it's there to back you up with that. You don't have to power crush. As long as you're in Heat mode, you can count on that parry to save you sometimes. Right? Obviously, they're going to know it. They could throw a low, whatever, but it's better than nothing. So Wind God Fist parries and gets you an untechable throw into Thunder God stance. That's pretty good. So let's see what else is next. Gives Wind God Kamae attack reversal. We saw that. Able to enter power up state. Mishima style ultimate technique, warrior instinct. So this is that little token that's above your head. Every time you enter Heat stance, you get another level of this. So once you get to round 3, you're able to do this. And even when you see like Heat mode is over or whatever, I'm still glowy because I have 3 stocks. I don't believe the stocks do anything along the way until you get to 3. I think they're meaningless, but you have 3 and you're kind of orange and glowy because now you can do this. You do 1+4 and you get that thing which activates Warrior's Instinct. Now you're in ultimate Heihachi mode. What this does is gives you about 8 moves or so that now cause permanent chip damage is the best way to say it. So permanent chip damage meaning it causes chip damage on block, but it does not leave the gray health behind. You can see it does that little chunk to her health right there at the end of the string. That does not leave behind gray health. They cannot recover that. It's permanent chip damage, which is crazy. The problem is that this move is still -17. You can't just go do that and get chip damage, but it's there. If they happen to block that, they're going to punish you, but they took some damage for it. So, I don't know. Choice is kind of weird on that one, but there's about 8 of these moves. 1 back 2, 2. See, there's again, big chunk of chip damage. This move also does that like camera chroma effect where it kills all of their gray health. You notice how I had it set to like full gray health? Just like Rage Arts, that's what that little orange like symbol means. That move will nuke your entire recoverable health. Boom. And causes some chip on its own. So that's really good. 1 back 2, 2. 1 back plus 2, 2. It's counter hit combo. So you'll get the effect off of that when you're in ultimate Heihachi mode. Boom. Kills all their gray health. You can use it in combos easily. And if you catch that counter hit, gray health is dead when you're in ultimate Heihachi. That's also amazing. 1+2 now gains the chip damage like everything else does. Still -10. I mean, that can punish you, but that little bit of chip damage adds up. But now, you get a follow-up. They can't tech roll that back. It's a slightly different knockdown than it normally was. You do get... So you notice I can't reach them? When I'm in ultimate Heihachi, though, I get that. Forward forward 2 is pretty much all you're going to get there because of the range, but that 58, that's enough. That's a grip of damage. Good God. So 1 plus 2 gets a follow-up now. How about down forward 2-1? That becomes a launcher. This is a 13 frame launcher, for God's sakes. Right? Boom, 67 damage off of that. Not to mention you can use things like this. Still becomes a launcher for them. Anything that's guaranteed, like this hit stun, 13 frames, guaranteed. You know, the forward 4 thing, 13 frames, guaranteed. So you have a 13 frame launching twin pistons, just like you did in Tekken 5 when you're in Warrior Instinct. That's amazing. Next up is forward forward 2. As far as I can tell, all that does is just add the chip damage. It's still unsafe. It still says minus 16. That could just be a typo. That might be safe. I'm not going to sit there and bother testing it. Forward, forward 3. That becomes +1 on block instead of what, -3. So the fact that you can do this. And these are all plus and the left one's launch. Good God, that gets nasty. Forward, forward 3 being plus is pretty good. You're going to use that a lot anyway, but now you can just use it all day. Oh, +1. Over and over again. Forward forward 2 doesn't seem to change his frame data, so I'm not sure if it does get anything or not. Can't tell. Hell sweep does not stagger. I'm going to set her to block low. Crouching block. You remember before she would normally stagger? I can do this now. I can do that. Normally if she blocks that first one, boink, you're done. You can't go any further. The way the second hit does, it stagger blocks there. You cannot continue. The first one should do that normally, but when you're in Warrior's Instinct, you can go follow up right away. She can't punish it. So that essentially makes the first hell sweep completely safe, right? Because you could just do this. There's no way she can punish you in the middle of that. The second one's still going to launch and everything, but now the first one is safe. So that just gets super nasty. Think the mental stack that they got to go through when they block your hell sweep and like nothing happens, that's got to be horrible. It sucks to be them. Next up is Thunder God 1. This becomes a little bit better. See, it's -11. Now it's -8. Safe on block, so you can just kind of go for that. No fears when you're in ultimate mode. Cool, I guess, right? It's not a great move, but you don't get combos or anything, but it's safe on block now, so that's pretty sweet. And you also get that from Fujin 2, the Wind God Fist. This went from being a -10 to now only being -3. It does not make it electric. See, it's -3. It always has the flash, but it was normal Wind God Fist. It still is, but now they just made it -3. So that's completely safe too. So your Thunder God Fist and your Wind God Fist out of your stances are both safe on block now. So to tie that all together, Ultimate Heihachi lasts for the entire round that you activate it. It does not go away. It's the whole round. You can't access it until round 3 anyway because you need to go to heat mode 3 times. But once you do that and you pop it and you enter Warrior Instinct, it lasts the entire round. So you can do this shit the whole time. 1 back 2. 1 back 2. Oh, I got my counter hit. Say goodbye to your gray health. Oh, you know, oh, you did something -13. Get launched. You know, it's an amazing state. Absolutely amazing. But once it's over, it's over. You don't get another one. You don't build up stocks again. You still get your heat mode for the rest of the match. But Warrior's Instinct is a one-time thing only. So all in all, that's a pretty amazing set. Heat is great. You get some really good extensions off of existing moves, and you get free electrics. You get a new parry that makes that a little bit safer. And then using heat mode 3 times, you basically do enter God mode. Ultimate Warrior Heihachi mode is incredible. So gotta love that. It's a really well thought out heat mode. Now let's take a look at mini combos. Simple follow-ups that aren't quite full combos, but I feel like these are more part of your basic move list than they are combos. They're all just like extensions, right? If I get this, I just have a guaranteed extension on hit. It's kind of the way I think about it. You can do different stuff, but it just seems like it's a built-in thing, part of your basic moves. While standing 1 is no good without the follow-up, right? That's the whole point. So these are kind of intrinsic to your moves, and they're pretty good. There's lots of cool stuff in here. First up is this while standing 1. You see that flip down on their back, feet up state. You also get this with a counter hit from down 1, 2, and counter hit sidestep 2. All reduce that same bounce state. So there's a litany of things that you could do. First up, forward, forward 2 is pretty easy. Minimal damage. Forward, forward 1 plus 2 is easier because it's much faster and you get the exact same damage. It doesn't heat engage because they're on the ground. Their feet are not on the ground, so you can't do the heat engager there, but still, it's decent damage. You can do down 3. That does a little bit more. But my favorite is quarter circle 2. I'm just used to the timing. Listen to it. Bop, bop. Nice and easy. I learned how to do that. I think it's the best one. Again, also not a heat engager, but in other situations it does heat engage. That's why I like it a lot. It's not the most damage, because if you're already in heat, down 3, 2 is the most damage. That big pump at the end does a grip. So that's the most, but you got to be in heat for that. If you're not in heat, down 3 is still fine. Quarter circle 2 is better. So that applies to all 3 of those bound states. When you get this, quarter circle 2 is your best bet in my opinion, unless you have heat. Counter hit on the sidestep 2, however, has a different option. Since you can confirm this into the Raijin stance pretty easily, got him. Raijin 1 does the most. Raijin 1 does a grip again without heat mode. You can go into this stance and then just do Raijin 1 and get a huge chunk that way too. That's also pretty neat. Counter hit back 1 for the second hit alone. Forward, forward 2 is pretty much all you get because of the range. Pretty far away, but you do get that. Nothing else is really going to reach. You don't have time to dash up and do a down 3 or anything. And that's more or less the same you get from the Warrior's Instinct version of this. You saw how you get that knockdown. Forward, forward 2 is about it because of the distance. You could try other stuff, but that's fine, right? You don't need much more than that. That's already going to be like 58 by doing that in Warrior's Instinct. It's cool. Next up are hit stun combos. These are things like forward 1 plus 2. You see in blue where it says plus 14, that's a real 14 frames. She can get hit by anything 14 or faster. You also get this off the counter hit of while standing 2. This isn't a launcher anymore, but it does give you some good damage out of it. So first up, forward, forward 1 plus 2 is a heat engager here. This is actually kind of hard to do though, because you have to like let it stop and then do forward, forward. Otherwise, you keep going too fast, you just get this, right? And you got to get it within the frame limit. You have like 1 frame to waste here. Pretty hard to do, but it's there. Anyway, moving on, you can do down forward 2, 1. That's a little bit better damage even. And if you're in Warrior Instinct, remember that's a launcher. That's a 13 frame launcher when you're in Ultimate Heihachi mode. So that connecting gets you a launcher guaranteed. Super cool. Down forward 4-2 is another 13 frame string, just does more damage. And we talked about down forward 1-2 with the perfect charge, like that. That does the exact same amount of damage as down forward 2. This regenerates your health too. You get a little bit of health back from doing the perfect charge. Like I said in the beginning, this is an indispensable Heihachi tactic. You really need to learn that timing and how to do it, or how to see it visually by watching the white glow. Because you get health back. So that's the fact it does the same damage means it's actually doing more damage because you get health back compared to theirs, right? Them losing health and you gaining health is fundamentally the same thing. Next up, how about some moves that are actually 14? Back 1-4 does a nice knockdown string, now up to 39 damage. And we have quarter circle 2. This one heat engages now because they're on their feet. So boom, boom, just like that. This is pretty easy to do because you can buffer the quarter circle. This move is what we call I-14. See where it says down there 14 to 15? That 14 means when the move comes out. The fact that this is a quarter circle input, down, down, forward, forward, that counts. So out in the open, the fastest you can do this move is 16. Down for 1 frame, down forward for a frame, and then forward plus 2 is the other 14. So this is a 16 move out in the open or during block, but in this case, you can buffer that in the animation. You can't buffer this out of block stun, otherwise doing electrics would be way too easy. So in this case, it's pretty easy to do quarter circle 2, get 36 damage in your heat engager. How about we look at forward 4 versus a crouching opponent? This move is plus 15 if the opponent is crouching when it hits them. Plus 7 normally, plus 15 versus crouch. This has always been a Mishima thing, but it's usually been 13. Heihachi would basically get this, that down forward 1-2 for free, and that was fine. Kazuya, when he's in devil form in the last game, could do twin pistons, etc. Now this is 15, and that's a lot. So the first thing you could do that's totally unique is launch. If you hold down to go into the Wind God, you can just do Wind God Fist and launch them. Boom, guaranteed. The plus 15 doesn't change when you go into stance. Right, that stays the same. And then you can launch them for free. The problem with this is the same as using forward 3. You have to commit. You have to be holding this. You do not have time to see, oh, it hit, then let me go into stance. It'll block it, right? You need the frame is all you got. Like these 15 frames are it. So if you waste a single frame transitioning into that, it's too late. You had to have been holding down, already transitioning. So that's a little tough. Little committal, not the best, but it's there. You're gonna launch. You happen to catch them with that crouching and you go for it. Otherwise, without committing to that, you get the exact same set of moves as you did before, because this is now plus 15. Everything that's 13 and 14 is going to work as long as it's not a high. They stay crouching. Obviously, you see I can't do 1-1. So look at the move that's 15. Now you get this. You get this like political storm type move. And it has a quarter circle input, 54 damage now, just for catching this versus a crouching opponent. You'll get the wall splat and everything. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't test that, but who cares, right? If it wall splats or doesn't, if you want the wall splat, you can just go for this. If you're out in the open, this does more damage. So that's a ton of damage off of just a boop. And if it happens to hit them blocking, it's still plus 4 for you anyway. Great move. Great move. But this one, man, getting that launch by taking a bit of a risk, whoo, that's big stuff. The same move, however, on counter hit causes that spank right into the ground. You can do a couple of things here. Dash up and down 4 is pretty good. They're going to start to get up when it hits them, so it unscales the damage or whatever. You get a nice chunk doing that. Obviously, you get down 3 when there's a situation like that. And obviously, when you're in heat mode, you get down 3 too for the max damage. That's the best option. You can also do other stuff like forward 2 for funsies. You know, make them flip over. Just vary the timing, whatever. But these are pretty easy options. You get the same set of follow-ups from the heat engage off of that. They're floating through the air, but you don't get there in time. You basically have to just hit them on the ground. So you get the same set of moves. The down 4 stomp is good, down 3, down 3-2 in heat, etc. Those all work off of that heat engage. It's a slightly different heat engage than the rest of them. Those are your choices. So that's it. Those are a pretty good set of moves, right? These are all fantastic. Forward 1+2 is great. Forward 4 is great. While standing 1 is a 13 frame Punisher. Gets you 49 damage or something. Awesome set of moves. Really fantastic. And like I said, I feel like these are a part of your intrinsic move set. They're just like extensions, right? Counter hit, sidestep 2. Oh, if I get my counter hit, boom, there you go. If not, I have stance. So I think those are pretty cool to learn. So let's put all of this together and talk about what you do in neutral and game plan and stuff like that. Heihachi's playstyle is to cause damage in every possible direction. Just beating you up is what he does for a living. He doesn't do it in any subtle ways. He's got bad lows, he's got bad evasion, etc., etc. He's got unsafe moves everywhere. Everything this man does is mid and knocks you down. There's just mid knockdowns all over the place. Mid, get knocked down, plus right. He's just so brutal. But a lot of stuff is unsafe. You're going to go around doing, you know, this. They could duck that. You do this is unsafe. This is -17. You can't just throw that around. So you got to be smart. But you got plenty of stuff to be smart with to hurt people. That's all you really need. So there's a lot of risk and stuff, especially in the new stance situation. This is going to take a lot of time to develop. Like what happens, let's say if you, while you're learning, you commit to this stance no matter what. Because to get this requires you to commit, and to get this launch on crouching opponents, that requires you to commit. So let's say you're committing into this stance, right, every time. On block, what do? Because you're going to get blown up. You can't cancel the stance. Your only choice in a lot of cases is to power crush or try to crouch dash underneath some stuff. Ugh. Right? So you really got to learn a better way to do that. You don't want to stance every time. You got to pick and choose your battles there. So that's going to be a balancing act of, do I want to go into stance all the time for the mix-up, or do I want to just like hold that back for when I know I got the best situation? It's going to take a while to develop that instinct. But otherwise, the attacking that he does, this being plus, and, you know, back two being plus, all these things are so good for attacking that pressure, and then you go into the stance, right? And if you got the hit, you're good. If you didn't, back off. It's okay to back off, because what this guy does really, really well is punishing. Blocking your opponent's counterattack is just fine. Heihachi is also ready to murder you for making mistakes. Having that 10-frame confirmable wall splat, having this thing, you know, this was just unanticipated how good that was going to be. 3-3 being a natural combo at 14 frames, good lord. Punishment is good. So backing off, playing defense, also a good thing. Getting back on them with wave dashing, also a very good thing. The wave dash mix-up, very good stuff. Just like all Mishimas, but that's a pretty high level of expertise to get good at that. You can save that for a little bit later. Stick with the stance stuff first. The stance is a lot easier to get around, and you see the potential that's there because you have Wind God Fist and you have Thunder God Fist out of these stands, and you get Hell Sweep out of this. You just press 4 for Hell Sweep there, and you can do Crouch Dash. That's awesome. Start with that. So the stance is pretty good, especially Wind God stance, that you can just do that. Really good. Heat mode is also just another layer on the cake. You get better inputs. You can do your perfect electrics now without having to worry about it. Nice and free. You get added extensions. You get follow-ups. And then several heat modes later, you get Warrior's Instinct, and you become unstoppable. So that's your game plan, is to hurt them badly, but pay attention to what you're doing. Don't let them start chipping away at little mistakes that you make. You don't need to give up everything that much. Once in a while, you might take some damage for going for that or whatever it is. It's okay. A little bit of damage is fine. You're going to hurt them a hell of a lot faster than they hurt you. So just kind of keep it cool for a little bit. So let's look at your toolkit overall for playing neutral. I want to start by just kind of going over the whole relevant move set as I see it in terms of highs, mids, and lows. Your highs are generally fast and generally safe, but they can get ducked. Mids are way better, going to do way more damage and all of that, but that's where unsafe block stuff comes into play. Lows are the same thing. Lows are what keep it all honest and tie the room together, but they're pretty unsafe in general. Especially Heihachi, kind of a weak point. Mids are so good, and the lows are kind of weak. You got to learn that balance. So starting with highs, the old 1-1, not as good as it was. -5 on block is kind of low, but the trade-off is that's hit confirmable, right? Like we said, that's a 10-frame hit confirmable wall splat. So the fact that he can confirm it, the trade-off is it's kind of bad on block. You can't just do this over and over again. Single jabs are fine. Single jabs are still +1, but you're going to get in trouble by just mashing this out, so be aware of that. 1-2-2, on the other hand, not safe. You go into stance with it on hit. If you see it on hit, go into stance. If you see it get blocked, don't go into stance. Just eat your -12 or whatever and go about your business. It's high, high, high. And 1-2-4 is also high, high, high. But this one is safe. Basically, you want to do 1-2-2 if you know you've got to punish. Otherwise, 1-2-4 kind of keeps you safe. And there's tons of other stuff. There's 1-2-2-1, switches into that. All right? Tons of options. 1-2-2-1 cancels into sidestep. You got a ton of things to play with, just your 1-2 strings. But you have to do 1-2, and then 1-2-2-1. Like that last hit is 2-1. 1-2-2-1, and hold down. Or up. 1-2-2-1, up. Cancel that hit and sidesteps. That's a lot to take in, kind of complicated, but really good when you start getting used to it. You can just sidestep out of stuff and start, you know, blasting people in the head. These things, you're good to go. So that's going to be on your list. A little bit tough to use. 2-2. It's okay. It's 11 frames. It forces the crouch. But if you have a situation to do this, I feel like you're just better off doing 1-2-2 and, you know, go for stance. But 2-2, kind of cool. Forces crouch on block as well, which is pretty good. Gotta like those. It's interesting. It's just something to throw in instead of just doing this all day. All right? Start doing some 2-2s. Switch it up. Forward 2 kind of goes in the same boat along with the 1-2-2 strings. You can cancel it into this and cancel it into side steps, or just go for it because this gets you stance on hit. I don't know, it's part of the puzzle, right? It's a high, quick string, gets you stance. 1 back 2, I think, is a lot easier. So 1 back 2, 2 is free on counter hit. 1 back 2, 4 is plus. They could jab you out of the air right there, but I think they're going to be scared to do it. But with the 2's case, you can see your counter hit and just go for it. Otherwise, go for 4. If it's going to get blocked, 1 back 2, 4. 4 is fairly slow for a counter hit 4, but they took those away, right? We don't have 11 frame magic 4 launchers anymore. This is 15. So that's still pretty decent. Got a nice range. Big bonk. Breaks walls and everything. 4 is pretty decent. It's just, that's his fastest counter hit as far as I know. 15 is his faster counter hit, which is fine. Right? You're getting the whole combo anyway. It's fine. You don't need anything better than that. It'd be nice if you had more, but they kind of wanted to get rid of that in Tekken 8, so I'm there for it. This is a good choice. And lastly is up back 2. They couldn't find an input to put this thing, so it's up back 2. And it's just this blow right in the face. I don't think that knockdown is real. They can tech roll that backwards. But that's a chunk of damage. It's safe. It's going to wall break. It's a really good move to just throw out, right? Like, just keep doing this and bang. They're going to wish they hadn't. Safe on block. Awesome move. So those are your highs. Mids, on the other hand, this is where the money gets made. Down forward 1-1. Always a nice counterpart to down forward 2. One's high, one's mid. But now that 1-2 is safe when you charge it correctly, you kind of almost don't need down forward 1-1 anymore. Down forward 1-1 can get ducked. Down forward 1-2 with the perfect release is safe on block. And if you charge it up too much, it's still safe. It's +1, I think. So charging it up, definitely worth a skill worth learning. That kind of takes the place of a lot of other stuff. Down 1-2, can't talk enough about this. This is a natural combo, and it's got dumb range. Feels like it's a little bit delayable. That second hit has a counter hit. And on hit, goes into Raijin stance with advantage. That's a great string all around. Easy to confirm the hit, then go into stance. Right? All the stuff you get is nasty. Down 3 is actually good for a neutral tool. It's not super fast, but it's safe and you get knockdowns from it. It's definitely worth doing if you got them, willing to let you do it. 22 is kind of slow, but the hell with it. Doesn't care. Go for it. Back 2. This old move does not have its counter hit anymore. You can charge it up and you get that. And it also has a just frame release. You get follow-ups when it's fully charged, but the just frame version does not. The just frame version also becomes a aerial tail spinny thing in combos. That's a pretty good skill to have. You want to learn that one, excellent move. Back 2 with the perfect hold and release. Forward 1 +2 now. I don't know why this move is unfair. It says I-13, which means forward. You can do it in 14 frames. It's safe. It's only -8, and it's a mid heat engager. It's not it is a combo one, isn't it? Yeah, it's a combo heat engager at 14 frames, safe mid. What? I feel like they forgot something there. That move looks like it's -15, right? That looks like a big shoulder that you should get destroyed for. No, it's safe. So that's an amazing tool. Kind of makes quarter circle forward 2 seem stupid. Because that's -17. Again, kind of hard to punish. Not everybody can reach that distance, maybe. But if you're going for a heat engager, it's not a launching heat engager. It's just a skid. So kind of renders that useless, right? I mean, you could punish everything with this that you could punish with quarter circle. I don't know. That's a weird choice there. This move's always been pretty good, but now it seems like completely outclassed by that. Hard to tell. I'm not sure what else there is to do with that that's unique. You know what I mean? It's tough to tell. Up forward 2-1. 19 frame startup. This is hit confirmable. You got all day. I mean, she's set to block. You can see that. So that's an excellent move now. It used to be sidestep 2-1 and kind of hit confirm me. This is definitely hit confirmable into heat engager from standing. That's an awesome addition. Forward 3 and forward 4, both excellent mids, part of your arsenal. We talked about this hit confirm, but you got to commit to it. Otherwise, if you do this on block, it's not great for you, to be honest. It's a little bit tough to work with. So you have to commit to that, and if you don't commit to it, you still have good normal forward 3. There's no counter hit property like it used to have, but it's got heat engager now, so trades that in. Forward 4, however, still plus on block. You don't have to do the stance with this either. If you catch them crouching, you get all those follow-ups no matter what. But if you do commit to the stance, you do have some good choices in there because you're going to be +4 on block still. +4 and your fastest move is 12, so you're still unbeatable in that situation. Forward 4 is still really good. But again, it's up to you if you want to commit to the stance or not. You got to learn that. Up forward 3 forward, also really good. Hell Axel, which has always been plus on block, has weird tracky sometimes. Like sometimes Heihachi will just like kind of fly off to the side and just miss, but usually it's fine. Plus on block, but now in this game it's a launcher. It causes the aerial tailspin thing. Now you get a launcher from it. It causes this tailspin on a standing opponent, which is kind of weird. I don't think anything else does that, but whatever. It's a launcher. I'll take it. So +4 on block, low crushing mid launcher. Let's go. Down forward 4-2 is a good string. Unsafe. You can see -12, but it's one of the ones that has a counter hit on the second hit there. So that's worth using once in a while for that. Same with back 1-4. You get that follow-up on counter hit, but that's a little tough because of the range. But those are all kind of good here and there for the occasional usage. Back 1-4 is a good string, knocks down, but not safe. All right, -12, -13. We're going to see that everywhere. This character is loaded with mids, and a lot of them are unsafe, but they hurt. So you can give up the damage a little bit. You just can't be doing that all day. So use those sparingly. Kind of want to get them, you know, in the rhythm of just like, you know, counterattacking you after this. And then go for that and get your counter hit. It's a way to like set them up with that stuff. Back 4 used to be another homing move. This is still a really good back 4 because it has every other property. It's got range, it's safe, it's mid, it's counter hit launcher, does everything. It's a really good move. Just don't miss. Look at his follow-up when he misses. Oh boy, that's bad. Otherwise, back 4 is still really good. This is a great move. Feels good when you hit them, does chip damage, just don't miss. Other than that, excellent move. It just used to be homing. It does track to his right pretty well. So it's not fully homing. Excellent move at, what, 18 startup? I love it. Forward 3 and forward 2 launchers. Forward 2 is tough to find a usage for, unless your opponent can't punish it. It's -16, but you're a world away. If the opponent can't do anything, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty good distance. It used to be way further. Reina could absolutely punish you for doing that. Most characters probably can based on the giant hitboxes these days. So it used to be hard to punish. Now, probably not great. So forward 2 is a little tough to work in. Forward 3, however, is excellent. When you're in Ultimate Warrior Instinct, this becomes plus on block and a launcher. Fantastic. It's already safe. -3 is really good, but it becomes plus when you're in ultimate mode. So fantastic there all around. Back 3 is your fastest homing move. 14 frame high homing move. Back 3-2 is natural combo. Back 3-3 is a natural combo now. Back 3-2 also has that counter hit. Right, you can get a combo off of that second hit counter hit. So those are good. Back 3-3 is excellent. Not safe, but back 3-2, safe high, right? It's that classic high versus mid. So those are really good to use. You can just take the back 3 all its own. Right, safe on block, decent enough on hit. It's homing move, just live with that. But you got a second hit and tons of damage waiting for you when you catch them. Up forward 4, a little bit simpler. It's homing, straight up homing. Also B flows and knocks down. Heat mode, you get the extension. Up forward 4-1 plus on block. Cool stuff all around. Good homing move, but it does take a little bit of time and space to do. You can get floated out of the air kind of quickly. So back 3 is also super practical for homing. One's high, one's mid, right? A typical trade-off. Anyway, that's your big set of mids. There's so much good stuff in there. Hit confirms, counter hit fishes, technique move, holding in your back 2 is really good to learn how to do. Some safe launch, all kind of good stuff. Learn those and learn them well. But you do need some lows to back them all up. Down back 2 is pretty slow. A lot of people are going to block this. Back 2 looking so similar is what kept you honest all these years. But now back 2 is going to get charged up so frequently, they're not going to get used to seeing that. They're going to see this pretty cleanly. But either way, it's a big, heavy hit and low. Down back 3 is much quicker. Quick standing ankle tap, negative on hit. So you don't really get much from this. This is what it is. You have the big crouch dash, mid versus low mix up. That's there. Right, you're going to eat shit if they block it, but it's there for some pressure. Kind of have to do it once in a while. But crouch dash 4, the hell sweep, that's your low. Right, that's your go-to low. If you get counter hit, it's a combo starter. If you get the second hit, it's a normal hit launcher. Tons of stuff you can do with the hell sweep these days. This is a new addition. It's a high plus on block afterward too. Kind of just reset yourself, go back into it. So hell sweep is indispensable. And the fact you can do it out of Raijin stance by just pressing 4-4, or you can do it out of Fujin stance by pressing down 4 and getting to crouch dash that way. right? You can do it there. So it's accessible as much as it ever was before. So now you can just do things like 1, 2, 2 and have a hell sweep ready to go. So hell sweep is better, and you need it. It's the launcher that, or the counter hit low launcher that ties the room together. It's indispensable. Full crouch down forward 4, not that good. Minus a gajillion on block. It's okay, whatever. You used to be able to just do stuff like this, and then that. It's just not that good. The range isn't as good. Nah, kind of weak. The other low that you even have is Wind God 4 by itself. That low. Also not super good. It's negative on hit as well. Yeah. I feel like if you're going to do this stance and over mix-ups, just do hell sweep instead of that. Just hold down forward and do hell sweep. That's my opinion. So lows, not a great set. A quick little one, no advantage. A big one, lots of advantage, but you're going to get in trouble. And hell sweep. You got to kind of live and die by that hell sweep. So that's what makes wave dashing at them important, and what makes the stance is super important because you can do all of that now. Some moves from full crouch, also not very good, right? Full crouch down forward 2 is your basic launcher, and down forward 4 is a low. Yeah, those aren't great. Your while standing 3, 1+2 is worth talking about now because it's safe. It's kind of slow. It's 18 frames, but it's safe. That's pretty cool, right? I can't argue with that. Just being safe, straight up, I like it. And while standing 2 is also safe. And you get counter hit follow-ups now. Right? You don't get launchers or anything, but you get some good follow-ups. So that's still pretty cool too, in my opinion. Otherwise, crouching is basically only good for ducking highs and punishing. That's it. Those are the only 2 moves that I would throw out in my arsenal. While standing 2, like the occasional 3, 1+2. That's it. The rest of it are punishers, and that's it. And that's fine, right? That's part of what you're doing as Heihachi, is capitalizing on their mistakes. So when you're crouching and you catch them, right, you're while standing 4-4 in the stance, that's only used as punishment, but that's all you need. So that's high, mid, low, some crouching stuff. What about side to side? Basically 2 homing attacks we've already covered. Back 3 and its extensions are both natural combos, and up forward 4. That's pretty much all you need. This one is super fast. This one is slower and mid. But this one is, the mid is safe. The 3 has options that they can try to counteract, and you get a ton of damage off of that. If you just commit to back 3-3 and they don't roll sideways, you take 50 damage for a homing move. That's really good. That's all you need, right? You don't need other stuff than that. Out of stances, you kind of need them now because people are going to try to just, you know, sidewalk out of your stances and avoid the pressure. 1+2 out of Wind God is Power Crush and homing, so it covers several of your bases. If they see this and they try sidewalking, that catches them. And same with the Thunder God stance. If they want to try to step out of the Thunder God, that homing, guard-breaking launcher, it's going to stop them. They're going to get hit by that and they're going to get launched. Even if they sidestep block, they're going to get guard broken and cloud for that too. So your homing moves out of stances are really good. They cover that base very, very well. It's just not all the bases. There are still some gaps in your stances, but tracking ain't one of them. So let's look at what do you do from a little bit further away. You know, obviously can't use your jabs from too far away, but you got some good stuff that's got keep out potential. Back 4's got good range. He takes a big step forward. Back 4 is probably just better in general, but if you miss, it's bad news. So back 4's got a really good range. Just don't miss it. Forward 2 is nice because you can do it, or 1+2. You can do this real short. If you're out here, you can pop that real quick and stuff them in their tracks. That's a pretty good keep out move because it's safe. Same with up forward 2-1. That's got good range because he goes so far forward. And you can hit confirm that pretty well. All right, you get your combo off of that hit confirm. Pretty good stuff. Down 1-2, this is just the most dumb range ever. Look at that. Look at that. And on hit, it's easy to confirm into Thunder God. Whew. So dangerous out here. Out here, you got back 4s and you got down 1s. That's kind of all you need, right? Those are deadly. As far as whiff punishing goes, you want to do this a lot. Forward 1+2 is really good because you get follow-ups and heat engagers and stuff. 1+2, also useful because it's a mid. If they happen to do like a low hell sweep of their own or something, you got that to hit a mid. Quarter Circle 2 is still a good whiff punish, but we talked about forward 1+2, maybe better. I don't know, in my opinion, I can do these out of my brain faster, Quarter Circle, faster than I can do forwards. Forwards feel like they take a second from me, I don't know. Either way, they're both pretty good at doing that job. And obviously the best whiff punisher is the Electric Wind God Fist. If they miss something, Electric is what you want. I'm just terrible at them. There's one. You get 3 extra damage, and if it happens to get blocked, they're plus. So learn how to do electrics. Again, as far as getting back in, forward 1+2, you can stretch that out. You can really make that a long distance forward, and then land on them with the safe mid if you want. Forward 3 is also a nice way to get back in. Forward 3, hit them with a mid launcher, and wave dashing. You can do forward 3 and all that stuff out of wave dash, right? All this stuff you have accessible out of wave dash is really good. You could make entire videos, and people have on wave dashing. There's a lot there. So that's your mid-range ball game. Not super different, just a couple moves that start to take priority, like up forward 2, back 4. They gain a lot better usage when you're further away. Everything else is the same. Look for your moment and strike hard. Your heat system, we talked about how heat works. What you're really getting is a couple of extra moves. This adds some damage onto your heavy knockdowns. You get this, you know, the big ground stomp thing. You can just kind of do that if you feel like. Oh, that's fine. I'd rather save my heat timing for landing this in general. Up forward 4-1, your good homing move gets even better. You get parries. A lot of things. It's kind of hard to go for heat as part of your game plan, other than you want to activate heat every round so you can get ultimate Heihachi activated. So at throwing in heat, remember your bonuses, right? Remember what's good. Know that down 3-2 is really good. And know that you get the follow-up, right? Remember that. You don't do this all the time, but you want to do that as much as you can when you're in heat. Heat's about to expire on you. Go for that and use up the rest of it. Use your parry willingly, right? If you get in trouble and you have the parry there, cool. Otherwise, it's Warrior's Instinct that you want. And we talked about what that does. Just an amazing set of things. Chip damage that they cannot recover. You get a launcher that becomes plus. You get a 13-frame launcher. You can delete their gray health on that counter hit. And you get safe Thunder God Fist and Wind God Fist out of stance. Yikes. So that is your basic arsenal. Your highs, mids, lows, some stuff you can do from crouching that's not very good. You got really good homing moves to keep them from sidestepping you, so you got to remember those. A lot of moves that just don't track, you wouldn't think about, right? Like, these are moves that you want to abuse, and they just don't track very well sometimes. So your homing moves are really important. Don't forget about those. Your mid-range game is really good. A couple of moves gain priority like that, and up forward 2-1. Down 1 works really good at mid-range, so you use those a little bit more often. They're always good. You should be using them constantly, but mid-range, those do a much better job than, say, the down forward 1 confirm does, right? Still decent range, but nothing like that. And then your heat mode just embellishes a ton of things. You get big follow-ups and big damage from stuff that you were already doing a lot. Down 3 is good. Up forward 4 is good. Now it's even more. Ultimate Heihachi is just ridiculous. 13-frame launcher, safe launchers, plus launcher, you name it. He's just nasty. Again, moves you're already going to do are now just indestructible. So you really want to shoot for that a lot. Heat mode, 3 times. Warrior Instinct, you're gold. So, I mean, you want to save that for a decisive round, maybe. You use it for a comeback if you're down 2. You use it to finish them off if you're up 2. It's a really good tool. So let's look at your actual offense and what you do to attack people. Just running around and throwing out pokes aimlessly doesn't really do a whole lot. The idea is, how do I hit them? You want to use lows to make them start ducking, and then you hit them with mids. You want to use frame traps to make them press buttons at the wrong time. You want to use partial strings, and then finish the string, catch them with a counter hit, stuff like that. So, first off, moves that have frame advantage that you could use a lot. He's got several. First off is just one jab on block. You know, everybody has that. It's really good. You need those a lot. Since 1-1 is -5 now, it's hard to just keep fishing for that. You need to use single jabs a lot more than 1-1 jabs. 1-2-2 stuff can be used for good offense, canceling in the fake spins and everything. Definitely has its purposes. There's a lot of variety in the 1-2 string area. You know, forward 2-1 flips. All of this stuff is very different and unique. You can use it a lot, and they'll keep your opponent guessing. This is mental frame advantage. You know, when they do that stuff, they're just not thinking clearly about what you just did. They're likely to be pressing buttons, waiting for an opportunity, and you tag them for it. So mental frame advantage is almost as good as a real frame advantage. Sometimes it's even better. So your jab is really good for that. Back to holding it up is good for plus, but your just frame spark version is even better. Nice, fast, Plus on block, wall splats, you name it. So learning to do the just frame charge, definitely worth it. You got a big smack, regenerates your health as well. Cannot underestimate that shit. Charging it all the way up gets you plus. But charging it just right regenerates health. Good stuff. So that even on the normal one on block, it's +2. It's a really good move. Forward 4 is +4 on block. You can do anything you want out of that. Down forward 1 is good. If you get the crouch confirm, you got 15 frames to blast them. Or if you get the launcher, if you want to go for that, you have your stance. So the world is yours with forward 4. I mean, pretty much every Mishima that knocks you down is going to run up and drop one of those on your head, like every time. It's that good. So back 2 is right there now. That's also a super good move. The down forward 1 stuff, being able to hold it and go plus there, and then mix it up with the correct one, that's really good stuff too. They're going to stand there and probably let you just do the normal version of it. And if you charge it up, they're going to let you get away with that, right? They're not going to challenge you. That'd be insane. So you do this, and you end up with another +1 at your disposal, and drop one of these on their head. Up 4-3-4. Take some distance, but man, you get the launch on hit, and if you just get the block stun, that +4 on block stun is really good. The fact that it's real advantage is also very good. Even if it weren't real advantage, this is one of those things that would feel like, oh man, he's +1,000,000. He actually is. So you definitely got to use that to your advantage. So with frame advantage like that, you can basically go for whatever you want. Forward 4 is enough that they cannot interrupt anything that you do that's faster than 13. Right? If they did a duck jab and you did your 13, it would trade. So yeah, they could do that. So if you stick to stuff that's 12, you go for that, right? Or you go for this. They're unsafe, but they don't have to be. You can just go for basic stuff and, you know, cancel. Being plus gives you an opportunity to do some tricky stuff. Harass them with lows. You know, go for this, pop one with a low. Go for this in the stance, hell sweep. Frame advantage lets you go a little bit more than you could. You can take some risks because they can't stop what you're about to do next. But there are limits to what you can do, right? Being +2 is great, but that's not a lot. That just means if they're jabby, your jab wins. Otherwise, you don't want to like just sit there and take this +2 and just go for that in their face necessarily. Depends on the opponent. If they're going to respect your plus frames, then definitely go for this. If they don't, if they get super jabby, then use your own jabs or parry or whatever you want to do, right? Got to learn the read. The frame advantage is good. It puts them in a situation where they have to make a tougher choice, and you have the luxury of pre-anticipating that choice, right? Like, are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? I'm covered for both, you know? I'm prepared for one or the other better than they are. So that's the gist of like frame advantage, is being able to continue your turn. And if it gets blocked or whatever, then you back off and you start to try to punish them. Punish them with this and boom, you're right back on offense. You got your +4 in the stance, you're good to go, you're cooking. So stances make up a lot of the rest of your offense. Poking into good situations is big, and you can play that all day, right? All this stuff is really good, but the stances are what really gets you much, much more reward. So we covered about what they are and what they do. I just want to talk about how you really apply them in your offense. And that starts with getting into them. So Wind God stance is a lot more accessible. You can do it off of tons of things. 1-2-2, 3-2 does it. Your while standing 4-4 Punisher. And that's where it starts, is the Punishers. While standing 4-4 and 1-2-2. These are only Punishers. Do not do these otherwise. If you block something, use it. Do that and take your stance advantage. Block this. You don't want to go for the wall splat, for example, with 1-1-2. You punish with 1-2-2 and go for stance mix-up. Those are built in, right? You're only going to use those on punish. Don't have to worry about getting them blocked. Forward 3 and forward 4, however, those are a different story. You want to commit so you get this heat engage confirm, or you want to commit so you get like... you want to commit so if you get like the launcher on a croucher with forward 4, for example, you want to commit there, but you can't do that all the time. So you do have to look at what the real advantage is and the mathematics of the situation. And the reality is most of these ways that go into stance are going to be about -2 on block. -2 on block, and the fastest move you can do out of that stance is these 1 strings that are 12. That's 14 frames. That means everything they do, it's 13, beats you straight up. You're going to lose. So you have to consider that. If you got blocked, you can't just go for that. And if they let you get away with this, then you know they're not going to counter jab you. They'll probably let you get away for more. Start going for hell sweeps and going for the big stuff, you know. take the time and go for Hell Axle, get more plus frames, etc. So if they're jabby, start using Power Crush. Power Crush is a good way to back yourself up because these are not really go-to. Forward 4 is better because you still maintain your plus advantage a little bit. Plus 4 with a 12-frame move, they can't beat that out, right? They can't challenge that. But forward 3 into that, they can challenge. You got to get used to that timing and go look at the Google Doc and look at the math for what you're actually getting. 12 frames as fast as you got, but some of the advantage, oof, it's bad. The thing is, though, is you can't just do nothing. You cannot block during this stance, like, at all. If you get blocked and you go into stance, you're going to get just launched hard. So you have to do something to just not get launched. And in a lot of cases, you have to do Power Crush to bail, and it's also risky. So this is a subtle art to learn. When to use stances, when to not. What's really good is your punishers. You know, you're only going to use those on hit anyway. 2-hit things like 3-2 are confirmable. Oh, got the hit, go to stance. But 3-2 on block, not a safe string. Same with forward 2-2. Not a safe string on block. On hit, oh yeah, there we go. There's my stance. But you're risking a minus 13 just to go into stance. So you got to do that, right? You have to go for a risky move. And if you get the hit, you confirm in the stance. If you go for a non-risky move, but go for a stance anyway, that's risky itself. So it's a balancing act. Learn what's comfortable. Stick with the punishers. Go for forward 4 into stance because it's the most reliable. And then start working in forward 3 into stance. Because that one gets you good stuff, but it's not as foolproof. So just to recap what you have in the stance, 1-1 is a heat engager, and 1-2 is a wall splat. These are 12-frame startup, really good. 1+2 is your Power Crush at 18. That'll cover your bases, but if they just do nothing, if you just, did this and right into Power Crush, minus 13. Not the worst. Let me do something different next time. Don't go to stance next time. Back it off until they start behaving differently. This is going to get you in trouble going for that 13 every day. You're not really staying safe. You're putting up minus 13. So you got to retract a little bit and maybe rethink your game plan and then reapproach. Start going for a low this first time instead of just nilly or, you know what I mean? Going for a low instead of just, power crushing away. Do something different. Do crouch dash and stay there, duck. That's kind of one of the best things you have there is crouch dashing into duck. It's faster than being able to block. So keep that in mind too. That's one of your better ways to get out of jail. If they're going to try to jab your stuff, you can do that and maybe counter hit him with a hell sweep. Timing's going to be rough there. So you got to think about that. But being able to crouch dash out of wind fist is pretty good. You get free electrics out of the deal. Awesome. Keep that in mind too. When you do this and you do down forward, the electric is guaranteed. It's a free 5+5 electric. It's the real deal, which is crazy. That you can just do this and hold it that long and come up with electric. That's nuts. I love it a lot. Really good for ducking stuff. So you get a jabby opponent. Not anymore. You get launched. So that's the basic usage for that. Look at your frame advantage. If it's not good, think about some get out of jail options or Power Crush. And if it is good, you've got, mid launchers and Hell Axle, etc., etc. Thunder God stance. Not as applicable. There's only a few ways to get into it, but this is really powerful. The fact that you can kind of confirm both of them, down 1-2, and sidestep, you can just tap forward and there you go. So you're not going to enter these on block very often. You're not going to just, don't do it, right? If it's blocked, just don't hold forward. So you're pretty much going to get these with the advantage that you need no matter what, which makes it much more dangerous. The fact you go into stance at 13 and your fastest options are 17. So there's not a chance in hell they can do anything about it. You've got tons of advantage. Even the down 3, that's 22 startup. And the difference there is 9. They still can't interrupt that. So if you do this, they cannot interrupt you doing that, which is awesome. And if they try, they get spanked for it. So this becomes really, really good when you know how to do it correctly. Down 1-2's got look at that range. Good God. Amazing range. A quick little sidestep, boink. There you go. I got the hit. Oh, I avoided your move. Go into stance. Eat some Thunder God Fist. Awesome stuff. So Thunder God Fist 1 is safer than usual, but not great. Raijin 2. This is fantastic. High homing launcher, and on block is +10. You get to jab him for free. That's really good. You see the screen break? 1-1-2. Guaranteed. Amazing stuff. Pseudo unblockable like he used to have out of the old Raijin stance. It used to look just like that, and there was an unblockable version that kind of replicates. 3-2 is good still, safe, mid, they can't interrupt it, and you get hell sweep by just pressing 4. You don't even have to do the crouch dash first. Hell sweep, just like that. It's so fast. So this is a really, really powerful stance. And the fact that mid-range out here, you own this shit with down 1-2, you're gonna get this all day. That's gonna be just amazing for you once you learn how to get used to that. Good, clean sidestep 2 into the stuff. Yeah, buddy, let's go. Really good. And the other stance is Wind God Fist, Wind God Step, the crouch dash, Wavu Wavu. This is like every other Mishima. You could watch a litany of videos about how this works. You just dash up and get your you get your mental frame advantage because they're not quite sure what you're going to do. Once you can do it fast enough, it becomes scary. I'm just not that good. It's good for cover and distance, Wavu Wavu, when you're in there, but just don't, like, I'm too focused on, like, manually executing the wave dashes. I just get punched in the face a lot, so you kind of have to practice that. But the better you are at Wavu Wavu, the faster you can deliver the mix-up. You know, go for that while standing, go for the hell sweep, go for the electric, right? Those are all great moves, so you got to learn those. Omen Thunder God Fist, or what Thunder God Fist is called, not as good as it's been in the past. It's been a better move. It's not safe. There's no combo, so kind of scratch that one. You want to focus your wave dashes on electrics, which is a high, hell sweeps, which is low, and just doing like while standing 4 or while standing 1s, stuff like that if you think you're going to catch them. That's your bulk wave dash offense. Sounds simple, but the more often you can do this, the better. Like, you'll see even top players just stand there and get paralyzed by a fast Wavu Wavu in their face. It's really good. So, all of those combined, frame advantage, mental frame advantage, stance pressure, and all of that, one of the big goals is to lead to counter hits. To get them to press a button at the wrong time. Oh, I'm +4 and you try to challenge me? No, counter hits. That's what you really want. And these are not plentiful, but they're really good. Some things like this back 4, this is just so good, right? You can just poke them, do whatever you're doing, back off a little bit and throw out this back 4. If they tried to attack you, good night nurse. Back 4 is really good. Counter hit launcher, knockdown, safe, excellent. Just like we said before, don't miss. Recovery's crazy when you miss. But that's kind of like it for offensive counter hits to try to bait them into going for this. This is your best one by a long shot. Regular 4 is a little more defensive because it's fast. 15 frames, it's a defensive counter hit, which we'll get to in a sec. But as far as offensive ones, back 4 to lead them into the spacing trap is really good. A couple of built-in strings have counter hit properties, like 1, 2, 4. That's a launcher. Down forward 4, 2. That's a launcher. And back 3, 2, your homing move. That's a launcher. So those are decent. They're not safe. String 1, 2, 4 is a high that can get ducked. Down forward 2 is not safe. Down forward 4, 2 is not safe at -12. And back 3, 2 can get ducked. It's up to you, but the rewards are good. You're getting counter hit launchers if you're just doing this as your homing move all day, for example. You know, you're throwing pokes and you're sidestepping and you're catching this. And eventually, pop, you get your counter hit, totally worth it. Your other offensive counter hits are basically your hell sweeps. One hell sweep into while standing, and you get a combo from it. So counter hit hell sweep launcher. You just kind of have to be prepared to do a single while standing afterward. It's hard to really confirm that and then just do that, but so that's kind of why it's my go-to. I just do hell sweep into that. So if I get my counter hit, I'm ready for the combo. Otherwise, if you just did like, if you did one hell sweep into that, you lose your combo. So you got to work on that too. It's an important wave dash functionality. But now that you get it from the stances too, remember, same counter hits apply. While standing 4-4, mid, all that stuff still applies. Some of your other offensive counter hits are just weaker versions of the ones we talked about. Back 1-4. You just get that follow up, and down 1-2 if they fall for that. Same thing, you get a follow-up there. They're not launchers, just follow-ups. So it's a little bit risky to just throw those strings out. That's not safe, but down 1 is safe. Down 1-2 is safe, so really, really good there. And if they happen to fall for that counter hit, you get even more damage. Or if they don't fall for the counter hit, they just get normal hitted, you're in Thunder God, ready to rock. So those are offensive counter hits. Not a ton. You're going to see his counter hit launcher system is really sparse. That's about it. But as far as playing defense goes, counter hits are also an important part of that. We just talked about 4. This is a defensive counter hit in my opinion, because this is much more for I'm going for the poking and I'm going to just defend myself. I think they're ready to counterattack me, do this. Or I think they're going to do pokey stuff, bop, 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 bop. I'm going to stick that in there and try to stop them in their tracks. This is a defensive counter hit because of its speed. And again, it's the whole launcher, right? Oops. You get the launcher from it. Good stuff. Safe and all that. So it's a high. But pretty good. In the world where we don't have 11 frame Magic 4s anymore, 15 frame Magic 4, I'll take it. While standing 2 is nice and evasive. If you think you can get in a quick duck in the middle of them doing stuff, or even just in your own offense and just duck right there, let that rip at the right moment, and his little sidesteppy thing will avoid some stuff, counter hit, boom, and you're good to go. You get free follow-ups, it's time to party. And we talked about sidestep too, just doing a manual sidestep, making them miss. You know, they're going to do 1, 2, 1, 2. Sidestep the second one, pop them with this. If you get that counter hit, whoop, confirmed, 50 damage, just like that. Really easy good. Those are defensive counter hits. But that's about it. The rest of them are 2-hit strings like this we talked about. That's an offensive thing in my book. That's you attacking, trying to make them panic. Defensively, those 3 are about all that you got. You don't do this evasive stuff, right? You block and punish, and then you attack. That's what Heihachi does. So evasively, there are up forward 3, 4 jumps and up forward 4 jumps. That's about it as far as jumping over lows. He doesn't really have other low crushes. That's it. Nor does he have things that go under highs. Down back 2 is about the only one. Crouch dashes go under highs, but once you do a crouch dash move, you are not ducking anymore. So this, not ducking. As soon as I've input the hell sweep, I'm not ducking, so that doesn't even beat highs. Crouch dash does not technically crouch once you've done something. If you do it nice and slow and then come out of the other side, it ducks, but that's it. Not an evasive character. There's just nothing else. He doesn't do that. He would rather block and punish you. So the name of the game where frame traps are everywhere and you're trying to deal with your opponents, he's not the best at, like, you know, a panic move or get out of jail free card or anything. He can sidestep, but he's better to just take the block and wait for your opportunity to punish better. Don't worry about evasion, just tank, you know, and get them back. Do more damage than they do. To that end, power crushes are really good. If you're getting harassed and you don't have a good way to just, like, you know, panic button like a cans or something, you got power crush. Up back 1. This move is now up back 1, by the way. It's changed like 5 different times. Standard, mid, power crush, knocks down, nothing fancy, but that does the job. That gets you out of jail if you cannot read the block mid-low situation very well. That works. And you also have the 1+2 out of Wind God Fist, Wind God Stance. That's a power crush that you kind of need to bail yourself out. So that's almost a defensive one. You're going to put yourself in trouble. Well, I mean, they're all defensive, but like I'm saying, you're kind of forcing this. You're going to get yourself in trouble and then necessitate using that to bail yourself out. So that's actually a really, really good one. If you're going to go for the stance a lot, do that and, you know, stop them from counterattacking you. They'll quit eventually. And then it comes to reversals. You don't avoid, you don't go through, you just parry what they're due. There's 2 basic ones, and there's back 1+2. This is a heat engager. Even if it doesn't parry, he does that attack, as you can see. So it's a super long startup, but that whole hand wavy thing, that parries for a very long window. I've not tested its bounds, but it seems to be really good. You can use it like an old conventional parry. As soon as you see them flinch, you know, jab, jab, you can just jab, pop, and it gets it. And I've thrown this out and let them hit me. It works really good. This is a very, very long parry window. It's a heat engager, so you get tons of damage from it and good potential, but it's going to be safe, right? Obviously, it's not going to be safe. But it's still pretty good. You're not going to do parries when you don't think they're going to press buttons. And if you're wrong, you're wrong, right? It's the same with any read. If they didn't press buttons, oh well, you made a bad read. You can't worry about making bad reads, right? Go for it. If you think buttons are the read, go for it. This is a really good way to stop their buttons too. Power crush, same thing, right? If they don't do anything and they punish you, so be it. If they don't do anything and they punish you, whatever. You take your rewards where you get them and you don't worry about it. And the last one is heat mode. When you're in heat mode, you have this thing that parries. This is a slow parry. He only parries once his arm is up. So this is not a reaction parry. This is I'm in heat mode and I just went for this thing and I hope that the parry stops you from counterattacking me. So again, both parries take the place of their corresponding power crush, right? You don't need to power crush when you can parry and get the same result. You don't need stance power crush when you're in heat and you have stance parry. That works pretty well too. So that's it. That is Heihachi in an hour and a half long nutshell. Your high, mid, low arsenal the quality of moves that you have in there, the little finesse techniques that are baked into stuff. Your heat system is really good. It amplifies everything that you do. You want to use it a lot because Warrior's Instinct is incredible. Your frame advantage is good. You have lots of plus moves that are practical. Your stances are straightforward, simple, but really good at what they do. When you learn how to not take bad risks and use the stances appropriately, really powerful. Heihachi is a high-level gameplay character, not just execution-wise for like wave dashes and electrics, but for the mind game of how to execute the plan properly. Really, really good once you get at it. He doesn't have anything you can abuse, stuff you can do over and over and get away with. He has consequences, so you have to be smart. And that's not for everybody, to be honest, right? That's not for your average Dragunov player. They're not into technique and discipline. Heihachi is a different animal in that regard. Counter hits are good, but they're not great. Evasion, lows, not good. He hits you mid and he hits you hard. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. And now he's got a good parry. He's got a good heat system. That's all you need, right? If you think of anything else that I missed, please leave a comment down below. There's bound to be updates and changes, things I didn't figure out or stuff that I didn't know. I feel like I got most of it. I tested everything on counter hit. I tested this. I didn't test everything for tracking, but I'm under the impression that if my opponent is good at sidestepping me, just start doing my homing moves. I'm not going to do, down forward 1 because I know that tracks to my left or whatever. If I think they're going to sidestep, just do back 3, right? So I didn't test every move for tracking. So you're going to find out that some of your moves do get stepped. You can just jab, jab, poke, poke, jab, and you get stepped. So stuff like that, if you have a good point, like, oh, this move tracks really, really well, use it here, please let me know. Otherwise, some subtle details. There's plenty of things to look out. I'd love to hear it. So leave a comment down below if you got something. Be sure to click the like and subscribe and notification bell and get updates. Combo video will be coming soon, as well as other new characters and Street. I didn't even get around to Terry yet. Mai's coming out soon. So there'll be lots of cool stuff coming your way. So be sure to subscribe and all that. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. So till then, later.